Hi there, Sandra here from Create in Spain, Siser, Juliet, Beginners to Pro, and Laser Love. So this is a small square box. It is hinged. So the only thing that I've done to make a hinge here is folded a small piece of card and put it over the two bases when they were together, lining them up obviously side to side, before I put in this little piece that goes around all the way. It provides a really nice closure. Very, very simple to do. You might want to make this box in all sorts of different sizes, and I've worked out a way where you can easily do this in Shortcut Slot, and yeah, it's only going to take you a minute or two to do whatever size box you want to do. So I've got my box done and it's come out really well, so I'm very pleased with that. It closes nicely, it's very neat, great. But if it's a ring box, it needs an insert. Now, yes, I can make some very fancy inserts, but I know that not everyone wants to do that, so I'm going to show you how to make a pretty classic one. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any scraps of velvet to use, so I'm using felt, but the process is pretty much the same. I have here a piece of magic eraser, and this stuff is so easy to cut. Now, the inside of my box is supposed to be 5 centimeters square, so I'm cutting a 4.5 centimeter square of this way. Now just look at how easy that cuts. Oh, it's wonderful stuff. Now I have a ring which is about 2 centimeters, but I'm going to cut a wider slit. And I'm going to do a slit in the middle of here, just straight across. Now I've cut out a piece of felt that's going to be pushed into that slit. Put it more or less across the middle, like so. Just press it in. And this is going to give you a really nice, neat finish. So then you want to put a slit into your fabric. Now, because I'm using felt, I'm not going to have to worry about tucking it in, particularly it's not going to fray. And I want about 2 centimeters. Yeah, about 2 centimeters for my hole. Put that, in fact I can use the ring to guide it. Put the ring into the hole. These little strip pieces can be trimmed off at the edge, and then you can glue it down. So here we have the finished result. I did in fact use my hot glue gun, but mine is a cool melt one. It's not the little one that I use. This one here isn't a really hot glue. It's a slightly lower temperature one. So I didn't find that that was a problem. I just glued the corners down, and then I just put a little dab of glue on each side just to make it easier to put in. Now, if you want to test whether you've got your sponge the correct size to go in, I did 0.5 centimeter smaller than the box size, but what you can do is when you've got your frame cut out and your felt cut out, is to simply put it in upside down. If it goes in that way, then it'll fit in the other way. Just pull it out then and do your gluing. So yeah, I think that worked out really well. I think that's a very nice, neat box. And you could decorate this as you wish. In fact, I'd be very much inclined to laser an engraved design on the top. And I might well do that. I'm in Shortcuts a lot, and these are the pieces that I've got. Now this is what I used for my 5 centimeter box. So we have the base, we have a lid, we have this piece here which is just a folded piece for a hinge, and then we have the inside border. Now the only thing I changed, because this box is small enough for me to do it, I took one of these pieces and I made it the entire length that I would need. So I made that 20 centimeters because I've got to go around 4 sides of 5 centimeters, and that makes 20 centimeters. So I also put in some crease lines for this, and that is really easy to do. Grab the shapes, and I have a vertical line here. Now I'm making all my score or crease lines green because that's what I do in my software. So doing that and set that to score instead of anything else. So I now know that I need 3 of these lines and I need them to be 5 centimeters apart, which is pretty simple because I can go to Object, Duplicate, 1, 2, 3, and horizontal spacing 5.0. There we go. Group those and put them in here and just make them center to that selection. There we go. And I want to, oops, grab these again, move them up like so, and uncheck that and just bring them down so that they are the full width. And that is basically the piece that I used. So that was the size that I did. And the other one that I started off with was actually a much bigger one, well, twice the size. So if you want to change the size of this very, very easily, what you want to do is remove the hinge element from this. So what you would do if you want to resize this, and you can do it pretty easily, you can select everything else, because if you want to do it in proportion, that will be the way to do it. And go to Object, Transform, whoops, and go to Scale. And then what I tend to do is use percentage. And I might put in something like 50%, which is what I did with the other one, and apply to individual shapes, and then press apply and OK, and that will downsize it. Now the reason I didn't downsize this is because I would probably still want it to be 2 centimeters wide. I would just need it to be shorter, okay, and that's easy enough to do. You can do that manually very happily. So that is how I would do it if I was just going to resize a square box. If you are going to make this a lot bigger, you would find that your tabs got a lot bigger as well. Now in some cases you might think that's okay, and in other cases you might think, what am I doing making really, really large tabs when I don't need them? And in that case you would separate out the score lines from the cut lines, and then you could actually use the eraser to come in and just take a load of it off of the top of the tab there. And you would do that on each one. But if you make your eraser large enough, you can just go once, twice, 3, 4, that's it, and it'll all be done. Okay, so that is another way of doing it. But what I want to show you is how to construct it in the beginning. And yeah, I think you're going to like this. Whoops, don't need a new page. So how do you make your box a specific size, whatever size you want? So I've got here a rectangle, and you can see when I'm moving this at the moment, it is snapping. And that's because I've got View, Snap to Guidelines and Objects, Bounds selected. This one at the moment is a peculiar size, so I'm going to make that a different size. Just put in 12 and put in 5. There we go. And this at the moment is 12.484 and it's 1947. So I don't want to keep the same proportions, but I want to select everything first of all before I do the height. So if I want that to be 3 centimeters high, for example, it has kept the proportions on there, but I can alter that. So this bit here, I only want to be, what was it? 12 centimeters. So this is the bit that I want to be 12 centimeters. And I can put that in there and then it will go to 12. So I now have the correct size. Maybe this is a bit too big. Because I haven't got it all grouped, I can adjust this if I want. That says 2.94 and that's supposed to be 3. So let's make that 3. There we go, that is now 3, and do I want to make it a bit narrow? Yeah, I probably want to make it a bit narrow and make it only 2 centimeters.
So now I can move that over here and it will snap because I've got the snapping on. Okay, so that is how you can make it a different size. I'm now going to group that and I'm going to line it up quite easily with this box here. Now I've put some colour in here simply so that I can see it, and it reminds me to remove it later because I don't want it. But you could, if you wanted to, set that in shortcut slot to no action at all. So it won't print it, it won't cut it, it won't do anything to it, but it's there as a visual guide for you. I need to copy that one, paste it in place, and I can just put it down here like so, and I can rotate it, or flip it I should say, so that it's in that direction. And I can now just move it along and it will snap to where it's supposed to be. So I have two pieces. Take this one, copy it and paste it. But I don't want it that length, obviously. What was the length I had in here? 5 centimeters. So this I need to ungroup again. And this one here, I want the same height, but I don't want the same width. So I'm now going to put in 5 centimeters, and it's done that. I can group it. I'm going to turn it up this way. And then there we go. So I can copy that one, paste it in place, put it over the other side. I'm going to flip it vertically like that and move it down, and it will snap into position. And now I can take this away and you can see that I have my box. Oh, that one needs to be flipped because it's got the score line on the outside. So flip that and the score line is now on the inside. So I have my box, and that is really, really simple to do. So that is a rectangular box as opposed to a square box where you need the sides to be a different lengths. If I get rid of this one, actually I'll just save one of these, just move it out of the way, get rid of all this, and I'm going to rotate that so it's horizontal. I just find it easier to cope with. Right, so what if I want to do something like a hexagonal box? We can go to Object, we can duplicate rotated, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Move them out a little bit because, no, that's the wrong one. There we go. If I move them in a bit, we get them a bit closer, but they're still not in exactly the right position, but that's fine. So I can take these, whoops, move them out of the way for the time being. In fact, I don't actually need these at all. I can get rid of those. Now they're in the right angle, so all I have to do is to move it to the corner. So move that one like that, and move that one like that. I just want to zoom in and see if I have it correct. So let's go to View and Zoom Selection. Okay, so that one's not quite in the right place. That one is okay over there. So now you'd notice that I've got bits which are overlapping, which obviously you really do not want. But, you know, there are ways around that eventually. So let's go to Fit to Window again. And I want to copy, paste in place, flip it up the other way, and now pull this down and see what we got. I need to flip it horizontally, so I got the tabs in the right side. And let's just pick those up again, and oops, come on, let's move them to where they need to be. So I've now got all my lines where I need them to be, but I've got these overlapping bits. So what you can do is take these and ungroup them, break them apart. So break apart. If I pick on a green line, I come over here, my green is highlighted, select all the same stroke, and I can hide those for the moment. So get rid of those, and I'm just left with my outer line. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to Path Union. And you might think, well, you still got a right mess there. And yes, I have, but I'm not going to shortly. Come up to the nodes, and then these little nodes here, you can just get rid of. And so it will change the shape of the tab and make it so that your tabs work. Come on, select. Just take this away like that. So we're done. There we are, we have our compound path. And now if we go to Object, Show All, so we now have our hexagon base with all the tabs correctly sorted. All the score lines are as they should be. Now what you do want to do is make sure that you select all the same stroke and select score so that it's not going to cut them. And if you're importing it into other software for any reason, just make sure that it will recognize the fact these lines are a different color and you can set them to a different cut, score, whatever it is that you're going to do. And that's how you make a hexagon box. So it isn't that difficult. You can make it as many sizes as you like. And yeah, it works really, really nicely. And all you need is the one basic shape to start off with. Now, if you're clever and you think about it, what you'll do is you'll break this apart and you'll just keep one of those shapes for making future hexagons. And then you won't have to bother doing any editing afterwards. You'll just be able to line them up. But that is a nice, easy way of doing it. It makes boxes pretty simple.
So there we are. Hope you found this really useful, because I think it's great to be able to make your own presentation boxes. Thanks for watching. Leave your comments down below, like, subscribe and all the rest of it, and I'll see you very soon. Take care now.